unusual time to do it. 2016, I also made a submission, and in plain man's language, where there might be technical issues, one of them is one that affected you people here in a paper where 15 of those papers appear here in Falcarragh. Also, to put it into a barracks, whether it be Falcarragh or Milford a distance away, and I mean how many of here were in Falcarragh barracks or in Milford barracks. It has to be totally transparent, the same as planning, that in each area there should be a huge sign, whether it's 4x4 or 8x4, so that people can see exactly what's happening. The other one, of course, I got a number of emails and letters from concerned constituents here about these developments. I forwarded them to the Minister, and I indicated that there were concerns to these people and that those concerns should be taken into consideration. And we wouldn't have known what was happening, only Pearse raised it last week by way of topical, and we were told that the decision was taken and would appear in the local paper on the following Thursday. That's as much as we knew until they appeared in the papers, that 14 of the 18 were granted. 14 in the names of 4 families. There's no hidden who the families are, but they're names of 4 families. 1 from outside the area granted, and 2 from outside the county granted. So to say, the TDs, let's deal with the freedom of information first. If anyone here puts in a letter to the council stating that their neighbour or someone in the area has an unauthorised development, you won't get that information. They're protected by law. And it's the exact same in this one. They're protected there as well. And it doesn't, as Sandy read it out, the Donegal County Council no issues. I think Board Falcarragh may be a prescribed body. The National Parks and Wildlife is a prescribed body. None of them had any issues at all with those that were granted. And despite the fact that we are elected, it's an administrative function at council level. And when I will also try to get the information that John Hamish is trying to get, I will be surprised if we get that. I'll be surprised. There's no point in telling you, yeah, we'll have that information last week. If we could have had it, we would have had it. Now, I had the same issue in my own town. A number of them were granted there recently, even ones that have been there for 10 years, never an issue, and they're being appealed now. And I didn't get involved in them. But what I want to do in the interest of fairness and due process, I will be taking the opportunity over the next weekend of coming down, meeting anyone, particularly where the existing ones are at the moment, and see for myself. And then I will do my own thing. But even if every one of the Donegal, the 5 TDs, stood up in the morning and said to the Minister, we're opposed to all these, won't even be taken into consideration. Won't even be taken into consideration. But what has to be done, of course, appeals have to be made to Aqualab in Portlaoise, and let me tell you, that's a slow and long process. And it's going to be, when people realise this is a cloud hanging over you. That cloud is not going to lift next week or in a number of weeks' time. And maybe some take the view, the more that we put in, the better. It's just like a planning appeal. It's the content of the appeals. That's what's important, and not the number. And for people to have to pay 200, I think it's important that at least the committee have an opportunity for an oral appeal. If it's not in, you have an opportunity. But I think because of the enormity of this, the 20 hectares, that you possibly will get an oral appeal. So I'll work with you as best I can, try and ensure that we secure the information which you require before the 4 weeks expires, and we'll work with the committee. Good night.
Excuse me. Please take the microphone back. Let's call a spade a spade. Yeah, it's what you have said is a politician talk. You have talked in generalities, indeed I would say trivialities. You said I have made a submission. You said you didn't get involved in an earlier protest. I ask you one simple question. Your party is in effect in government. It has an arrangement with Fine Gael. So you have a higher responsibility to the rest of us. I ask you this for a yes or no answer, and I repeat, yes or no. Do you think, as the previous TD said, that this is anti-committee and that the application process is not fit for purpose? Yes or no? Because by now you have all the information you need to answer yes or no. Can you answer yes or no that it is indeed anti-community, as we have heard, and that it is not fit for purpose, the application process? Yes or no? Can you answer yes or no?
Okay, we give Pat a chance now.
Sorry, I will not be subjective to
Oh,
questions.
please. You are a veteran
Excuse me,
politician.
just a minute, please.
John,
Yes.
I listened very carefully, and you asked me about the process. You obviously weren't listening, because I said to you that I made a submission in November or in January, February of 2017 that the type of process was not a fair process and wasn't a transparent process.
You didn't say
So
that.
that's
You
what I
said you made a submission.
Excuse me a minute,
You
excuse me a
didn't.
minute.
You said you made a
No, no, no,
submission. You didn't say you were against it.
Excuse me. Thank
Sorry,
you,
with
thank
all
you.
due respect.
I appreciate, but we do have to allow people to give answers. And
I did, but we should
have-
also be allowed secondary questions to clarify matters. I am glad you think it is anti-committee and that your own party, in partnership with Fine Gael, have allowed this to go through.
Okay, I have to
Words
ask.
in my mouth. I'm around long enough to have respect, not about words in my mouth.
And so have I, because I am a member of the public.
Excuse me, now, you
Behave yourself.
You have
I am
to-
behaving myself.
You have
Sorry
to-